It goes back to Optum's parent company, UnitedHealth Group. One arm of the business is UnitedHealthcare, a health insurer which approves or denies claims. The other is Optum, which does data analytics, and in this case is reviewing claims for fraud.
Minnesota legislative auditor found a dozen financial issues that need to be corrected in the office of Governor Tim Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, you know we've been following the Minnesota fraud scandals, from the Feeding Our Future fraud to the Autism Center fraud to the fraud of the fraud. Everything seems to be under a fraud watch in Minnesota. So now, you know what they're doing? They're like, you know what? Let's get to the bottom. Let's get to the very, very bottom of this fraud. Let's hire a company that is going to do a complete audit across 14 different programs so that we can get to the bottom of it. And now people, the people in the know, they're like, hold up, the company that you hired, aren't they a subsidiary of the company that's suspected of fraud? So what you're going to see in this video, y'all, coming up here, is that as a response to maybe $1 billion or more worth of fraud, Minnesota has said, let's audit the fraud. Oh yeah, and we'll hire the company that's suspected of the fraud to audit the fraud of itself, y'all. Essentially, that's what you're going to see here. Now, of course, it's not that straightforward, but it's like that, okay? And also, you're going to see how the governor's office, like, you know, Tim Walz, you know, the former vice presidential candidate, the former candidate for the vice presidency of the United States, even his office can't keep things straight. Now, are we going to say fraud, y'all? I'm not going to say fraud. We're just going to say sloppiness and mismanagement. No wonder they're not catching the $1 billion plus of fraud that's happening in their state. They can't even keep their stuff straight in their own office, y'all. You're going to see that here in a sec as well. And then finally, we're going to take a look at your boy, Omar Fateh. Sadly for him and Minnesotans, he did not win the mayor of Minneapolis race. But I guess you can be comforted by this Jacob Fry person who, well, he's already been your mayor for 2 terms. Why not ride him on out through the 3rd term, right? Y'all, oh my gosh. I'm like, is this the best we can do? Is this the best we can do, y'all? So we're going to take a look at Fateh's loss to... It's weird when you're rooting for a person like Jacob Fry, y'all. This is the situation that the current modern political situation has put you in, where you're rooting for Jacob Fry. I mean, come on. So, y'all, Minnesota is hiring the company that perpetrates fraud to investigate the fraud itself, y'all. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. So without any further lead in, let's go ahead and hop right into it. But before we do, y'all, we are launching our official Patreon. So if you want to be a founding member on our Patreon, we have just 222 slots, y'all. If you want to be a founding member, go down, click the very first link in the description, and you're going to feel good about this, y'all, because believe it or not, we are an actual paralegal school, and we help people get their paralegal certificate and get working in the paralegal field. And all of the proceeds from our Patreon, when you enroll as a founding member, all of that is going to go to scholarships for people who would like to study at our institute, y'all. So click that first link down in the description. Join us as a founding member, y'all. This deal will not come back. Now let's get into the story.
Tonight, we're staying on top of fraud investigations in Minnesota. Over the past week, many of you have reached out with concerns about the company the state chose to audit billing across 14 Medicaid services.
Alex Jokic is live now with details from the Minnesota Department of Human Services about this pick. Alex.
Well, tonight, you guys, we learned the state looked at multiple companies and received 3 bids before selecting Optum, which is based here in Minnesota. It's a $2.3 million deal for this year, but some are questioning that choice. From parents of adults with disabilities.
Because of who has been hired as the auditor, we have concerns.
To those who run services for the most vulnerable Minnesotans.
It feels weird, right?
It goes back to Optum's parent company, UnitedHealth Group. One arm of the business is UnitedHealthcare, a health insurer which approves or denies claims. The other is Optum, which does data analytics and in this case is reviewing claims for fraud.
I personally think if you're going to have a true third-party audit of something like this, you have to ensure you're hiring somebody who has absolutely no conflict of interest in any way, shape, or form.
We reached out to Optum about the optics. They told us, quote, Optum and UnitedHealthcare are separate entities, noting that UnitedHealth Group maintains strict firewalls to ensure that each subsidiary operates independently and in the best interests of its clients and members. And they also pointed to this, a big change in state law this year that basically pulled UnitedHealthcare out of the Medicaid service space in Minnesota. Now, we had also asked DHS why they chose Optum so quickly. They told us in part, given the scope of fraud that both DHS and law enforcement partners were uncovering and investigating, we needed to move quickly to implement a stronger process. Going on to say this contract is for 1 year. Beyond the first year, we will initiate a full procurement process to engage a vendor for a longer term in the future. Now, today we also learned this pre-payment review process with Optum will not be starting until next month, so in December. Live in St. Paul, Alex Jokic, 5 Eyewitness News.
Oh, okay. There are strict firewalls between the subsidiaries, y'all. So when one subsidiary is committing fraud, you hire the other subsidiary to investigate fraud. But don't worry, because, hey, what those guys do over there, that fraudulent stuff that they do over there, we don't do that here. What do you think? We're going to do the same thing? Come on. I'm just having a little bit of fun with this. So anyway, we'll see what's going to happen with that. But who do you think would be responsible for overseeing all of this and making sure that this is all done properly? Would it be the governor's office? Now, we have to imagine that the governor is going to run a tight ship, right? He's going to run a tight ship. I mean, he's a former military man, Tim Walz. He was almost our vice president. He must have things under control, right? I mean, his office is probably a model of organization, efficiency, and accountability.
Minnesota legislative auditor found a dozen financial issues that need to be corrected in the office of Governor Tim Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan.
There are no allegations of fraud here. It mostly amounts to sloppy bookkeeping. Chief Political Reporter Tom Hauser joining us now with a closer look at this audit, Tom.
Paul, the governor's office says it had already resolved 11 of the 12 issues identified by the legislative auditor even before the report was released today. Among the findings, the governor's office did not manage its receipts as required by state law and office policies. The office did not provide adequate oversight of timesheet completion and approval. They did not issue correct retroactive pay rate adjustments for 7 employees. And the office also made numerous late payments to vendors as well as inaccurate payments.
The pattern of inattention to the protocols that define the internal controls and segregation of duties is appalling.
The main thing we're concerned about here are the lack of internal controls that create an opportunity for something worse to happen. And that's what we look for, and that's what our auditors do in these audits. It's all about looking at compliance and internal controls.
Now, in most cases, the non-compliance issues involved hundreds or thousands of dollars, not millions. And again, no allegations of fraud, just serious questions about lack of internal controls that the governor's office says have been addressed. Still, Republican House Speaker Lisa Demuth, who is also now running for governor, says, quote, accountability starts at the top, and it's time for the governor to take a hard look at the financial practices within his own office. And by the way, routine audits like this are done of each of the state's executive offices. Leah?
All right. Tom Hauser tracking the latest for us. Thank you, Tom.
Okay. So we can't trust the fraudulent company to police itself. Okay. But firewalls. Okay. We can't trust the former vice presidential candidate, former military man, the governor, to have an organized office to even know WTF is going on. We can't. But you know who we can trust? Jacob Fry, y'all. Jacob Fry, you know the Minneapolis mayor who, if you look on your screen, the guy he's passionate. He's impassioned.
Assalamu alaikum. Hamid wal Aksan. Maaga yega wa Yarub Farid. Boca Magala Minneapolis. Go Laba Sata. Afarshan.
Oh my gosh. Well, y'all, at least it's not Omar Fateh. I've been saying, and I will continue to say it, I only talked about Fateh because of the whole socialistic thing. And any person who's coming out there with that, who gets on my radar, I'm probably going to talk about him, right? So Mamdani won. That was a temporary setback. But at least Fateh did not win.
Just minutes after that final vote was tabulated, he posted a thanks on social media. We could show you that here on Facebook, saying, "While this was not the outcome we wanted, I am incredibly grateful to every single person who supported our grassroots campaign. I'll keep fighting alongside you to build the city that we deserve." A longer statement then came a few minutes later from his campaign, quoting Omar Fateh again, saying, "Thank you to every single person who believed in this scrappy campaign, who believed in a vision for Minneapolis that was more affordable, that was more accountable, who showed up and worked and refused to give up on this city." Continuing on, he said, while they may have won this race, we have changed the narrative about what kind of city Minneapolis can be, because now truly affordable housing, workers' rights, and public safety rooted in care are no longer side conversations. They are the center of the narrative. And again, that's what they're kind of pointing to, and that is to the sort of the victories of their campaign, even though they lost the race, feeling that they introduced some of these things even more to the forefront than what they were.
So I guess a loss for Fateh. Y'all, if you watch our previous videos, you will see that my man has a lot of questionable activity in his background. I mean, a lot. So I guess a loss for Fateh is a loss for socialism in the United States, which is a win for me because I'm not with that. Again, I've said many times, I'm definitely down with some social programs. I think we have enough for now until we can root out all of the fraud that's happening. Get rid of the fraud, start administering the money that we already are putting towards social programs and community upliftment. Start using that money properly. Get rid of the fraud. And then after 5-10 years, we say, okay, we've been really using the money that we already have properly. Then we can reassess and say, okay, do we need more here? Do we need more there? But just more money. It's always about more money. As you can see, the people who are overseeing, those people, their offices are in a shambles and in disarray. We're putting companies who commit the fraud. One subsidiary is going to audit the other subsidiary. Nah, man, just stop, just pause, hit the pause button, clean it up, get efficient with the money we have, serve the people with the money that we already have, stop giving billions away to fraudsters. And then after a certain period of time, we look back and we say, oh man, we really need to tighten up over here, or we really need to tighten up over there. That's the way I see it, y'all. So let me know why. I think that when you see what's happening in the governor's office, you can easily imagine why his state is losing billions of dollars to fraud. I mean, my man is running around trying to be the vice president. Can you imagine he wanted to be our vice president. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think about this. Do you think it's correct for the subsidiary of the company that's committing fraud to audit the fraud of the other subsidiary? Do you trust the firewall? And do you trust Tim Walz's office that's in a shambles and disarray to police that? Let me know down in the comments, y'all. But before you do, please stop, hit the share button. Share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Y'all go check out our Patreon. We just launched it. We're ramping it up and we need you to join. Click the first link down in the description and we will see you over there. I want to thank y'all for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.